If you're in your 40s or 50s, you've probably had this thought recently. I've done everything I was supposed to do. I built my career, I've got experience, so why does work suddenly feel less secure? It's not because you've been told you're losing your job. Nothing dramatic has happened, but something feels different. Maybe your team is smaller. Maybe AI keeps coming up in meetings, already augmenting tasks in your organization. Maybe you're quietly wondering whether the experience you've built still counts in the same way. Australia has released its very first government report on AI and employment. And at the same time, global AI layoff numbers quietly passed 185,000 people. And researchers have now given a name to the anxiety many professionals are feeling today. Want to know what these three things tell us? Because none of them are really about technology and AI. They're about careers, especially mid-careers. Let's get into it. So, on the 8th of July, the Department of Employment and Workplace Relations dropped their first government report, actually trying to measure whether AI is hitting Australian jobs. The top line finding, no broad AI-driven upheaval, youth employment is holding up, and the occupational reshuffling hasn't sped up. Unemployment sitting at 4.2%, which is genuinely below any pre-COVID decade average. But since November 22, that's when ChatGPT launched, employment in the most AI-exposed occupations has grown 5.6%. In the least exposed occupations, it's grown 9.5%. So for those of you with 10 years or more experience, this piece of data is important to you. In the most AI-exposed occupations, 43.7% of workers hold a bachelor's degree or higher, versus 14.9% in the least exposed group. This is hitting the kind of careers many women have built over 15 or 20 years, sometimes after taking a gap to raise children, sometimes after changing careers in their 30s, sometimes after moving into leadership roles. For years, automation stories were mostly about manual blue-collar work, but this one isn't. You're probably not going to wake up tomorrow and discover your job has disappeared. Australian AI adoption isn't as fast as some countries, but what's more likely is you will experience something quieter. Your role gets redesigned, roles around you aren't replaced, and promotional opportunities shrink. Fewer people get hired into your profession. That's exactly how mid-career professionals are experiencing this disruption now, just now. These things will change, and you need to keep on top of how the labour market is shifting with AI adoption. And that's what we do here at Career Jam. So if you really enjoy this content and you want to keep on top of things so you know how to navigate the career change in the age of AI, just click subscribe and share it with a friend who might need this information now. One reason this feels so unsettling is because companies are reporting record profits while reducing staff. That one breaks one of the unwritten career rules many of us grew up believing. Work hard, become experienced, deliver results, your career becomes more secure. That pathway just doesn't feel reliable anymore, and you're not imagining it. Zoom out to the rest of the world and the tone changes. Challenger Gray and Christmas, an outplacement firm in the US, says AI went from being cited at 0.6% of layoff announcements in 24 to 4.5% in 25 to a full 25% in March of this year. And there's a pattern. Record profits, AI investment through the roof, and headcount going down anyway. The independent trackers now put 2026 tech layoffs somewhere between 165,000 and 186,000 people, depending on who's counting, with over half of the layoff events this year explicitly mentioning AI or automation as a factor. But it is super murky. So many of the companies are AI washing. So what that term means is that they're blaming AI for cuts that might be due to other reasons like pandemic overhiring, it might be some issues to do with profitability, or messaging to shareholders that you're all in on AI because it's cool and it's hyped right now. One thing I found fascinating that's popped up is that psychologists now think that this anxiety is different from ordinary job stress, and it creates a different kind of distress. Researchers at the University of Florida are calling it AI Replacement Dysfunction. For short, is a clinical model that describes a cluster of symptoms tied specifically to AI-driven job insecurity, anxiety, insomnia, loss of professional identity, hopelessness. The point isn't to pathologize everyone who is nervous about is what AI is potentially going to do to their career or how they're feeling about it right now. Clinicians are saying that there's a distinct enough pattern that it needs its own name, but it's not all doom and gloom. Here's the encouraging part. The research is showing your experience as a mid-career professional hasn't become less valuable. The routine experience has. Experience still matters. Judgment matters, managing difficult conversations, although I could do without those and happily outsource to AI. Reading politics inside organisations matters. Your network, the people, guiding people through change, making decisions with incomplete information. These are exactly the capabilities that typically increase through your 40s and 50s. And the challenge isn't replacing those strengths with AI, it's learning how AI amplifies them and how you can use AI to elevate them. That's a different career strategy to the play that you've run in the past. So where does all of this information lead us? We've got data from the Australian government on jobs. We've got the International Jobs Tracker. A lot of research coming through. The Australian government's report and the layoff tracker aren't disagreeing. They're describing two different speeds of the same shift. Australia's labour market in aggregate is fine. Your occupation specifically might be quietly losing ground. You won't notice until you go looking for that next job. PwC's global data backs this up from the other direction. AI-exposed professionalised roles are growing twice as fast and paying 42% more in salary growth than the democratised roles that are routine and replaceable. The market is sorting people into two tracks, and which track you're on has very little to do with how hard you're working. People who do well over the next 5 years, they won't necessarily be the youngest or the most technical. They'll be the people who combine decades of experience with the ability to adapt. And that's a learnable skill. That's exactly what this channel is all about, and we're here to help you. If you want to know where your own career sits on the AI exposure curve, you can do our super short AI exposure audit here. I'll see you next week because we know how fast this is changing. Every week, I'll translate the latest AI news, jobs, data, and research into practical career advice for mid-career professionals. Subscribe to stay ahead and make sure you spread the jam, like career jam.